Spoken in hundreds of high schools, elementary schools. Now I'm speaking to schools in New York, Boston, Chicago, Las Vegas, across Ontario.
Think about that foundation that you're building right now, right? Every single one of those bricks is a choice.
It's enough.
Not that many people can actually like touch their hand in their shoulder. I just saw that you did that.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw that
Yeah,
challenge.
I can't do it. Yeah. Or well, I mean,
I don't even know if I'm doing it right because it has to be
you gotta
your
hit your
palm.
palm to your shoulder.
And if you see, I can't get the palm there.
I can't do it either. Yeah. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. This is episode number 4 of the series. If you're new here, my name is Preston Sibley with Mainly Niagara. Today I'm interviewing Leo Barbe. Alright, Preston, let me stop you right there. Leo, I filmed a video and I mentioned you were one of my role models, so we're going to take a look at that video right now and then get back into the previous video. So after a bit of thinking, Leo Barbe would be my main role model. Leo came to my school and he told us his story, and even though his story wasn't exactly what had happened to me in life, some of the things he was saying had connected to me, and I reflected and related off of them. And he's the person who has said not to give up, pursue your dreams, and that's why I wanted to take this into consideration and want to do YouTube for a living. And here's a video of who Leo Barbe is from his YouTube channel, so you guys can go subscribe to him right up in the top corner. Also, while you're at it, just subscribe to me, guys. Follow me on all my social medias on the screen right now. Be sure to drop a follow on those, much appreciated. Let's just get right into this video. Peace.
Went to a club, jump onto the street, I grab a taxi. He drops me off next to an alleyway. And as I'm walking in, there's this kid at one corner of the alleyway. I heard the gun click back. And then he comes out like, "Give me all your money." And bam, shot me right in the stomach. Bam, and shot again. He made the wrong choice to bring a gun. 4 major surgeries over 4 months. I lost 75 pounds. I had to learn how to walk again. I was bedridden for so long. A full year later, that's when I heard Martin Luther King. One man was able to change the world forever, and it was like a light switch went off in my head. Maybe I could help with my story.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here with Leo Barbe. And Leo, 11 years ago, you went on a vacation trip with your friends to Montreal and ended up getting shot twice. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so really a story of the wrong place at the wrong time. Yeah, I was in Montreal celebrating with some friends. We went Canada Day weekend, and you know, it's middle of summer, beautiful weather. It's a great place to be. And so we went out to the nightclub the night before Canada Day and having fun. You know, we were young. And what happened was I made some friends at the club and was kind of partying with them as my other friends were going back to the hotel. So near the end of the night, I kind of realized I was alone and didn't have anybody that I came with still there. So that's when I, you know, held down a taxi. It was like, all right, I got to go home. Like, I got to get back to my friends. And on the taxi ride is when I started to become friends with the taxi driver, and I started to trust him. So when he was like, hey, take this alleyway as your shortcut, I was kind of like, yeah, this guy's got my back. Yeah. Really, he definitely didn't. So I walked down the alleyway, kid asked me for a cigarette. And then that's when I was like, wrong place, wrong time. Kid tried to rob me, shot me in the stomach, then tried to shoot me again, hit me in the back, ran off. And I was left bleeding to death for about 3 hours until a mailman found me, performed CPR, saved my life, and the rest is history, I guess.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you tripped over a fence, is that correct? Or like
Yeah, there was like, you know, if this was the ground, there was like this little steel fence, like that high, just kind of like a pole. And so, yeah, I kind of hit that. He cornered me at one side of the alleyway.
So at that time, you had no getting out of the shot. Yeah. Like as you were
exactly. Cornered. Yeah. And so, yeah, when he put the gun in my stomach, I kind of reacted, tried to grab it. And that's when I tripped over that fence. I fell back. He pulled the trigger and shot me a second time as I was on the ground, but luckily only hit me in the back, not the head. So
yeah, you like turned at the right time, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. I don't know if it was the guardian angels or what it was, but I turned right at the last second and avoid imminent death. So But it was the mailman that found me and performed CPR that saved my life. That is the reason why I guess I'm still here to talk about this.
Have you ever thought if it was a setup or, well, I mean, the taxi driver wouldn't have known where you were going, but.
Yeah, like I have connected with a bunch of people that live in Montreal, and there is a little bit of a thing where a cab driver kind of puts you in the the right place at the right time. You know, they knew that the kid was going to be in the alleyway with the gun and try to rob me. So I know that's a thing. Growing up in Scarborough, I've seen kind of how gangs can operate, and yeah, like there might have been a setup for sure. But yeah, still here to talk about it.
But for your hotel or the room you were staying at to be right at the end of the alleyway, and for him to know exactly where he was going to drop you off, it probably doesn't connect.
Yeah, like you're saying, it makes sense if it was that way, but there's so many things that make sense if it wasn't that way. So who really knows? Who really knows?
So what happened during your recovery? I think you lost 75 pounds, had to learn how to walk again.
Yeah, so a lot of people hear of gun violence on the news or whatnot, and obviously it hits home because gun violence is terrible no matter how you slice it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people forget is like when you see it on the news, that's really only like half a percentage of what the person is going through. So for me, going into the hospital, I had 4 major surgeries that were performed throughout 4 months. Yeah, I lost 75 pounds. I was bedridden for most of the 5 months. So just learning how to rebuild my leg muscles and not walking for 4 months, then having to walk was really difficult. And, I played professional rugby, was a pretty big athlete. So running 10K and being able to do that. And then now I can't even walk was a huge shift for me. And then I think that's when it started to really affect my mental health. Obviously, physical and mental are directly connected, but I think that's when the physical side started to deteriorate my mental health. And I almost felt like there was no way out. I almost felt like this is my life now.
Suicidal during recovery, had PTSD.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
So I was diagnosed with PTSD. And what a lot of people don't realize is that PTSD doesn't always come from violence as like so traumatic, like gun violence. Sometimes it's literally can be created by just watching mom and dad fight in front of you, maybe witnessing a really big argument with two people you love, or even watching the news. And maybe you live in a certain community that was hit by gun violence. So it doesn't always have to be so traumatic and life-changing to affect your mental health and of course the PTSD. So it's good to know that and be mindful of kind of how trauma, small or large, can affect your mind, your thoughts, and how you see the world as well.
Yeah. So as you were recovering, you heard the speech from Martin Luther King, and then you said one man, one word, one movement. What connected and how did you feel after you heard that?
Yeah, so the story is that I went to St. Catharines, so close to your neck of the woods, to the keg. My sister was a waitress at the keg in St. Catharines. And so my dad grabbed me from Scarborough. We went up to St. Catharines and just to kind of get me out of the house. And he, on the drive home, was really kind of instilling like, you lived for a reason, this happened for a reason, while I was so wrapped up in depression and suicidal thoughts that it didn't matter what he said. And that's when he was like, look, I have the CD in my car. It was kind of like one of those, like, just listen to it. So he played the CD, and it was the last 2 minutes of Martin Luther King's last speech. So if you go on YouTube and you search Martin Luther King's last speech, it was the last 2 minutes of that, and talking about how he reached the mountaintop and, and all that. And it hit me. I don't really know why. I don't really know how. But something about his words, something about what he was saying hit me. And I had this idea of like, okay, now I can help people. I thought, like you're saying, one man had a message to share. One man, one voice, one movement could change so much. And that's really what sparked me, is like, maybe I can help people. Maybe I can share my story. Maybe there's someone that's going through something similar to me and they need my voice to get them through it. So I felt an immense sense of purpose to share what I had gone through and in turn what I'd learned.
Yeah. Now you and I have met before. You came to my school last year. I'll throw the photo that you and I took up on the screen right now. But so I've heard this story before, and I'm still smiling. Like, it's an amazing story, and to see that to hear that you've gone through all this, it's very interesting. And I was actually I heard a lot of people who they either heard your story before, or people just sit there and they don't kind of listen fully. But the way you presented it when you came into the school, you said some funny things. Like at one point you were talking about how you going through high school and you threw up the photo of Kevin Hart or something. Just the little bits of things that you said there actually was interesting, and it made me want to sit there and listen. So
yeah, I try to, you know what, what's funny is that I guess the common theme for what I do is if I could go back to my younger self, what would I say? How would I approach it? How would I motivate myself when I was, say, your age? And same thing, speaker would come into a school, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
And so what can I do? What can I say? How can I make it entertaining so that I can capture your attention? And yeah, the Kevin Hart joke of you know, when you go from elementary school to high school, and the massive shift in the people that you go to school with. And because when you're in elementary school, you're the king of the school. You're 13, 14, and you're the boss.
And then
you go to high school,
and you had mentioned, oh, there's a group of girls over there, and you just freaked out or something like that.
Yeah, I kind of turned the hallway and was like, oh shoot.
Yeah.
The girls like that.
I'm pretty sure that's all of our own reaction once we step into high school or whatever.
Yeah.
A school that has 200, 300 students. Now you're in a school that has 500, 600 to 1,000 or whatever.
Yeah, I my elementary school is really small, so I had about 150 kids.
And then you go back from either being the king in grade 8 to going right back down to grade 9 and being a junior or freshman or whatever.
Yeah, you know everybody, you know nobody.
Yeah.
So that was big for me because I went to a school where none of my friends came with me. So I was completely alone. I started the high school career without a partner, you know, at least somebody to bounce or sit with at lunch, right?
Yeah. I
didn't have that. So it was a huge transition. And I think what students really like about my story is how I relate it to them. How I take certain aspects of my life and I make it real to you right now, not, you know, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, but today. So when I talk about that, going to a school where I didn't know anybody, you know, anxious, nervous, even though you might have gone to your school knowing somebody, you felt those same emotions, isolation, alone, fear, no confidence. So when I say these things, it connects with kids and they kind of find their own personal story within my story.
So Leo, the one thing you just mentioned is if you can go back and talk to your old self. What if you can go back and talk to the teenager who shot you 11 years ago? What would you say to him?
Well, I talk about this in my presentation and I say the kid wasn't born to shoot me. You know, so, and what I mean by that is that he wasn't born to hate. He wasn't born to be violent. He wasn't born to be that person. Something happened in his life to push him to a point where he felt like maybe that was his only option. So going back to him, I would probably go back to an hour, 2 hours before the shooting, where he probably had the gun. He was nervous, scared. And that's the thing a lot of people don't realize about people, you know, criminals, people that do violent acts, is that, you know, I work with a lot of police officers. I work with a lot of people on the other end of the spectrum. And I would say a good 80 to 90% of the people that do these acts immediately regret it. The second the trigger is pulled, the second it's done is the second they wish they could take it back. Yeah. And, you know, similar to the kid that shot me, it was that there was something driving him. And a lot of people think it's anger, but really anger comes from fear. When you corner a wild animal, they don't lash out at you because they hate you. They lash out because they're scared. And we do that too. So when we feel scared, we lash out. Words, actions, and even something as crazy as picking up a gun and robbing somebody. There's a fear that's driving that decision. So I'd go back and just what are we scared of? What happened? Why are we here? Who are you listening to? And that's another thing that I like to say to young people is that, you know, what do you digest, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is, you're consuming. It's like eating junk food all the time. When you're consuming, maybe fights or negativity on these videos that are like a train wreck, they're fun to watch, but then they make you feel hollow and almost like sad and depressed after. You really have to focus on what you're consuming, who you hanging out with. So I'd really have like a heart to heart with him and say, who are you listening to? Who are your loved ones that are motivating you? Just to get a better understanding of what brought him to the point where meeting me in that alleyway was what he felt was his only choice, which you and me know there were 9 million other choices he could have made. So just to better understand that. And then that goes into why I do what I do, is whether you're the guy holding the gun, guy or girl, or whether you're the guy or girl on the other end of the gun, I really try to help both understand the decisions they're making and what are the emotions driving them to make those choices.
Yeah. And you never know, he could still think that he actually killed you and now he's having to live with that. But luckily for you, you survived.
Yeah, like I'll throw in another question is like, what if you met the guy again?
That's what I was exactly going to ask you. Now, you're talking about if you went back to him. Now, what if you had to sit down and have a conversation with him now? What would you ask? Like, what went through his mind when he was doing it, or why did he choose to?
I would probably ask, like, what did he do after? Like, did you go and celebrate? Did you go and be like, yeah, I did it? Or was it like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I did that?
Did you go back the next day to see if you were still there and then your body wasn't there because you were like in the hospital?
Yeah, or like, maybe even a couple hours later, right? Like maybe he ran off, saw the ambulance, came back to see what happened. Yeah. There's a lot of questions.
Because this all happened at like, what, 1 a.m. or something like that, you said?
Happened at 2 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning.
And you said he only got off with your cell phone of like $10, right?
Yeah, I didn't have any money. I didn't have any cash. So he probably, I think he took my ID. Maybe I had like a nice phone at the time, but he ended up dashing my phone. He didn't even take my phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it was part of the evidence was my phone at the time. They found it. So yeah, he didn't take anything. I think he took my wallet. And
he spent all your money at the club, so.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and tell me what your goals are, or how you want to help people now. I know you started Think, Don't Shoot, and you've just recently started Life Skills to Succeed. So tell me about that.
Yeah, so Think, Don't Shoot has really transformed into TDS education. So at first it was gun violence, gang violence, prevention. What I realized is that, everybody needs something. So it really turned into emotional intelligence, mental health. And the key that I do is like understanding and controlling the emotions that drive you. 90% of our decisions are made based on how we feel. So if we can understand a feeling, we can make better choices. So that's really what that starts with. And then that can lead into bullying, gun, gangs, anything, just like student success, leadership, communication, relationships. And then what I did is I started speaking in schools. And then schools would say, hey, Leo, we loved you. The kids loved you. We want more from you. So then about 6 years ago, I created a program that would really springboard after the presentation. And that would be anywhere from 5 to 10 weeks. And now that program has had about 3,500 graduates. We've been in over 110 schools. We partner with the police, government, Boys and Girls Clubs, huge organizations and institutions. But now with COVID, we saw just how much chaos was going on in the education system, and how one day you're in class, next day you're virtual, parents are pulled thin, teachers are pulled thin, students aren't getting extracurricular education. So what we did we created a virtual program that's based on the success of the in-person program. And we called it Life Skills to Succeed, because really it is the skills that I would go back to my younger self and teach. So mental health, emotional intelligence, communication, relationships, leadership, teaching those skills to kids at a young age, changing their lives early so that they have the skills, life skills, to succeed later in life. So we've officially launched the website's lifeskillstosucceed.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram. It's a live virtual 6-week program done on Zoom. So essentially you're signing up. We have 3 classes. We have one on a Tuesday, one on a Wednesday, one on a Thursday. You sign up for one of those days, you become part of those groups. So if you sign up for Tuesday, you'll be every Tuesday at 7 o'clock for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And I guarantee it to be fun, engaging, entertaining, but most importantly, educational, will providing those strategies and skills that kids need to be happy and, of course, successful.
Now, what's the age for that? Is it anyone or?
Yeah, so right now, because I've been working with schools for about 10 years now, I've seen that age grouping is important. For instance, yourself, would you want to be in a program with 10 and 11-year-olds?
Not really.
Probably not, right? So we really gauge the ages just based on comfortability in a group, but also themes. I can't teach an 11-year-old the same thing I would teach a 16-year-old. So we really combine them. So the group is really 11 to 14 is the first group. Based on the success, we'll do older groups, so 15 to 18, and we might even do younger groups. But right now it's 11 to 14. It starts March 9th, 10th, and 11th are the first days of the program. And enrollment hasn't started, so we're ready for signups right now.
All the links in the description. You guys want to check those out. Same with all the information about Leo. So, Leo, is there anything else you wanted to mention that you have in your mind?
Well, you know what, quickly, I do want to talk about lockdown, COVID, what's going on in the world. You know, we're all kind of isolated. We're all really stuck at home, dealing with the same things, but we're all living in different environments. So the best thing that I can say is just remember, like I always try to say when it comes to stuff like that, is I'm not a guru, I'm not an expert. I'm an alarm clock. I'm here to remind you of what you forgot about. And one thing that we always forget about when things are stressful is our emotional intelligence. Like I was telling you, Preston, when we were at your school, was what are you saying to yourself? Every single day you have a talk track in your head, whether you're 11, whether you're 45, whether you're 60, it doesn't matter. We have a talk track in our head. And when things are bad, when things are negative, the ego comes into play and says things like, you can't, you won't, see, everything's terrible, your life is falling apart, COVID is, right? So my reminder to everyone watching this during your lockdowns, during this crazy time we're all faced, is remember what you say to yourself. There's a talk track. And if you don't say anything to yourself, the ego takes the wheel and starts saying and driving you where you want to go. By talking to yourself, it's essentially you taking back the wheel and talking about where you want to go. So right now, I launched the new program. Right? My ego is saying things like, nobody cares. Nobody's going to sign up. This is going to be a big failure. And so I want to listen to that. I want to hear, I want it to be true because that's what it's that talk track, that narrative in my head. So when you replace it with positive, like what I've said in our presentation is, I can, I will. Cool. Yeah. Okay. I'm worth it. I deserve this. I'm beautiful. Like for me specifically with this program, saying things like, it will be successful. People will sign up. I'm going to change lives. And creating a new narrative in your head, removing the negative by replacing it with a positive can make massive differences in, again, how you feel, because how you feel turns into decisions. Those decisions create your life. And when you go all the way back to the foundation, it starts with emotions. So to those watching, remind yourself that you deserve this. You're beautiful, you're worth it, and you can do anything and change that negative narrative. Great things will happen.
Yeah. Now tell me, we talked about if you sat down with the teenager who shot you. What if you sat down with the mailman who saves your life now? What would you do?
It was crazy. So I tried to find him or her. I don't know who they are, but I actually reached out to Canada Post and said, hey, on this day, on this time, in this intersection, this general area, one of your mailmen, mail people, saved my life. And I know they remember this. Like, can I contact them? Can I find out who that is? Yeah. And based on company privacy laws, they weren't allowed to tell me who it was. But what they did was they put out a company-wide email to literally thousands of employees across Canada and said, hey, if you were the guy or girl that saved this guy's life on this day, this time, this whatever, he's looking for you. By responding to this email, you're giving us authorization to pass on your information to him. Nobody responded. We did it twice. So it was about 3 years after the shooting, and then I did it again the following year, 4 years after the shooting.
Yeah.
And nobody ever responded. So I wasn't legally allowed to find out who it was.
And
but yeah, if I could maybe if it worked and they were able to call me, I think it would be simple, man. It would just be a thank you. It would just be a reminder to them that one moment, that one decision to be there for me, not only changed my life, changed my family's life, but changed thousands of others' lives by just creating this message and sharing it. So it would almost be like, hey, look at what you did, and look at the ripple effect of what you did.
Yeah.
I think that's really what I would do.
And where it puts you in life now, nothing even through like nothing from the police or whatever, because if he saved your life, he called the ambulance or nothing.
Yeah, I think it's just privacy things, right? Like we live in a crazy world now, so not everybody wants to be contacted.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know if it's a guy or girl, but whoever they are, it's their right to not want to talk to me. Like again, maybe what they went through that day was extremely painful for them, right? And being there, right? So maybe they just don't want to talk about it. Maybe they're just happy to know that kid lived, and that's all they care about.
For you to go get publicized and for it to be on the news, then that person could have been like on the news or whatever. And if they don't want that, or they don't want to be like publicized and know who saved your life or whatever, then they just like stay hidden or whatever. Like they did something, they helped you, and then they just kind of went back into hiding or something like that. Yeah,
man. You know what? Like I say this so many times. It's not what you do when everybody's watching. It's what you do when no one's watching that matters. And some people will grab a cell phone and selfie themselves giving a homeless person $1 or $2. That's great, but it's what you do when no one is looking. And I think that's a true example of the mailman and woman or whoever it is they don't need the fame. They don't need the recognition. They don't need the pat on the back. They just know they did something important and helpful for somebody, and that's all that's needed. And sometimes that's enough.
Not that many people can actually like touch their hand in their shoulder. I just saw that you did that.
Oh yeah, I saw that challenge.
I can't do it. Yeah. Or well, I mean,
I don't even know if I'm doing it right because it has to be your palm.
You gotta hit your palm to your shoulder.
And if you see, I can't get the palm there.
I can't do it either. Yeah, I just saw you did that. So for the second. I know you got to run. So anything else that you want to talk about before we wrap up this video?
You know what? If you have a kid in your life, or if you know somebody that's around the 11 to 14 age, that's struggling with the lockdowns, that needs a little bit more coaching with their emotions and social skills, or maybe they, really have really great ideas like you, but need the drive and discipline that you show. Maybe they're lacking it. This program is for you. So lifeskillstosucceed.com, Life Skills on Instagram. Sorry, Life Skills to Succeed on Instagram, Life Skills to Succeed at Facebook. Find us, join us.
Links in the description. Everything about you, Leo, will be in the description as well. Once again, I hope to see you later on in the future. And
man, let's do another one of these.
For sure. Once again, guys, everything's in the description. You guys can go check that out. Leo, I'll talk to you later on in the future. We'll do another one of these soon. Guys, everybody stay safe out there. Join the program if you guys want to, and if you're the correct age. Leo, you'll be upping the age later on in the future.
Yeah.
Other than that, guys, hope you guys stay safe. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. My name is Preston Sibley with Mainly Niagara, and this was episode number 4 of the series. Thank you, Leo, for coming on the show one more time. I had an amazing time talking to you, just like always. Make sure you guys go follow all of us on our social medias on the screen right now. Make sure you guys get your merch. Link is in the description. Smash the subscribe button, drop a like on this video, and comment down below what you guys want to see next. Stay tuned. New interview coming next week. Stay safe, everyone. Peace.